Today, we're going to be going over what a petition should actually look like before you file it with the court. In our previous video, we went over what a petition is and what a petition isn't. So that is the basis for this video, so you might want to go back and watch that one. As a brief refresher, a petition is just your wish list. It's what you want at the end of the day, what you're requesting from the court. The petition isn't an order. It's not something you have to follow until you get an actual order from the court. So with that in mind, let's jump in. And to kind of go over this petition, we're going to be going over what the state of Idaho has provided for you and the public as far as what you can use if you don't have an attorney. In today's video, we're going to be using the state's petition for divorce that the Idaho Supreme Court has provided to the public for the public to use if they don't have an attorney. Now, if you look at the petition that the state has provided, you look at the format, you'll see that it's formatted in a very specific way. And going through your divorce case or your child custody case, you're going to want to make sure that you're looking at the Idaho Rules of Family Law Procedure, because those rules will govern how each and every document that you file with the court is going to have to look and what's going to have to be in those documents. So the state provider form actually does provide most of the issues that you're going to have to work through while you're going through divorce, including whether you're entitled to file for divorce, where you're going to file it, what it's supposed to look like, the paper size, the font size, the spacing, the parties, what you want for custody, what you want for division of assets, what you want as far as a name change, and a bunch of other stuff. So in subsequent videos, we're going to be going over each one of those topics individually from, are you entitled to file for a divorce and do you want your name changed? So stick around, subscribe, and we'll get to those videos later. You look at the first page, that's where most of the formatting issues and errors occur when the court will not accept your documents. The top left should have your information or your attorney's information. And when you're reviewing this, you're going to want to look at Rule 208 of the Idaho Rules of Family Law Procedure, because that is going to tell you what the document's supposed to look like. The rule contains a ton of issues that you are going to have to comply with if you want your documents to be accepted by the court. However, if you just follow the form that the state had provided, that should get you all the way there, except there are some issues that are not included on the form that the state has provided that we as a law firm provide in our documents that actually lays out more of the issues that you may have to go through while you're going through the divorce or your child custody case. So some of the things that are missing from the state provider form that we include are waste, what to do with specific community property, whether you want an unequal division of assets, and a couple other things. But if those aren't in there, in your petition, the court will not grant you those things. Because again, if it's not in the petition, the court's not going to grant you that. So when you're filling out this form, make sure you follow the instructions, because the state has provided instructions as far as what's supposed to be in what field. The rule does provide that it has to be done with a word processor. However, if you use the state-specific forms that's provided to you, you can handwrite those in. The state also provides instructions as far as what's supposed to go in each entry block that you have empty on that state-specific form. There is a link to those forms in the description, so grab those if you need those. But this video is basically just going over what the petition is actually supposed to look like before you file it with the court. And if you use the state-specific forms as a guide and you're trying to alter that with a Word doc or with a word processor, or trying to alter that later, you're going to want to refer back to the state provider form to make sure that it looks pretty similar to what the state has provided. However, if you have a complicated case, you're going to want to get an attorney, because like I said, the state provided forms don't include all of the issues that you're going to have to work through if you have a complicated case. Let's say there's domestic violence involved. Let's say there's a business involved or a property. There's just a bunch of stuff that is not included in the state-specific form that may come up in your case, which could be detrimental if it's not included. But today's video is just going over what the petition should look like before you file it with the court, without going into detail as far as those individual provisions, which we're going to cover in later videos. So if you need that information, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when those in detail provision videos come out.